Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 ways you can take items and just squeeze the most amount of awesomeness out of them in your games. Way number 1 is to expand your world's lore using items. My favorite way of doing this is using lineages. A great example of this comes from the Ancestral Forge by Sage Gamers. In this book, it basically takes a lineage, talks about their item philosophy, and then builds items using that philosophy. So let's take dwarves, for example. Now, dwarves aren't known for their powerful magical items, but maybe that's because they don't really care about creating wands that cast fireballs. Maybe they care a lot more about pickaxes that could cut through stone like butter so they can go find more precious gems. Maybe they care more about magical ale that gets them absolutely trashed and makes them buff at the same time. By having magic items that show what their culture cares about, you learn more about the culture. This is awesome for any lineage, but it's also awesome for custom lineages. If you're building a custom race, really think about it. What is their culture and what magic items would they prioritize over any others and why? And I've been using lineages as an example, but this can also be used for classes and subclasses really easily. The schools of wizardry, they have cultures. Paladins, their oaths, they have cultures. The druid circles, clerics, they all have subcultures that you can really explore using magic items. Way number 2 is to bridge mechanics and flavor using your items. So for example, let's pretend you have a player who wants to do a champion fighter who likes to wrestle people down to the ground and then attack them at advantage with their expanded crit range to get a high likelihood of crit. So they have a crit fishing grappling champion. That's their concept. Awesome concept. Now we know as DMs that champion fighters aren't exactly grappling specialists. So maybe we can help them bridge that gap between their fantasy and what the mechanics are allowing them to do. So pulling some inspiration from the Ancestral Forge once more, we can use the Drinking Horn of Strength. What the Drinking Horn of Strength is going to allow them to do is, as a bonus action, it's going to give them expertise in grappling, so they're way better at grappling, and this allows them to do it for an hour. So now they are able to do what they wanted to do. And that's like, really, people are coming to the game to play a fantasy that they want to play. And if we can give them an item that bridges the gap between the mechanics and the fantasy they want to play, we're really helping them enjoy the game. This one is all about knowing your player's character fantasy. So really ask them, like, what are you trying to get out of this character? Tell me about this character. What do you like about this character? What kind of moments would really excite you with this character? By asking those questions, you learn about what they're looking for, and then you can bring it. Tip number 3 is use items to push your players into choices. Choices are everything in D&D. D&D is largely a game of choices and consequences. The biggest moments your characters are going to have is decisions made. Now, items are perfect for this. Let's say before they have an item, we have a promise of a super powerful item, but in order to get that item, they need to make a tough choice, potentially a choice that goes completely against their belief system. Do they get greedy and take that item and let go of their beliefs, or do they hold to their beliefs fast and say no to the item? Doesn't really matter. Either way, they are having a character-defining moment. They are showing who their character is and living it through those choices. But it's not just used for before we have items, it can be used after. Going back to the Horn of Billowing Strength, sure, a bonus action getting expertise in athletics is really good, but there's a drawback to that item. If you're using it too often, you potentially face getting exhausted. So now we put a decision in front of your player. Is grappling important enough to potentially get exhausted? Now they have to make a decision in game, and that's what items are amazing for. It doesn't end there. You can have items that just have overt downsides. +2 magical armor, however, it gives vulnerability to fire damage. Another example of this is customizable items. You have a shield with a single socket on it. In that socket, you can place a gem, and depending on the gem you place in it, you get resistance to a certain type of energy damage. So if you have a ruby, you have resistance to fire damage. Which one do you choose and when and why? When you think about it, a lot of a DM's job is bringing interesting choices to their players. Now you have items as a tool in your tool belt to do that. Tip number 4, use them as rewards or bait. I found this works particularly well with your power gamers, your gamers who really want to maximize their character and just feel really strong. I found that those players often are some of the more difficult ones to work with in a party because they're more interested in their own personal strength than they are the mission. Well, tie the two. Now there's a promise of a powerful magic item that they want at the end of where the party is going at the end of this mission. So I've used it to help gather the party together and work together, and I've used it to really motivate power gamers. Now, once they get there, that's a big moment. They have been working to get there for potentially months. They really have been craving this item. So once they get there, there's some things we can do. You can give them it and have it be a really juicy, fun item with a lot of exciting potential to it. Something that gives them teleportation, something that lets them do a big move a single time a day, something really awesome. You can also use it as a way to set up a really nasty villain that you want your players to hate. They have been searching for this item for a long time and they're this close to it before the villain swings in and swoops out from under them. You bet your butt they are going to hate that villain. mission accomplished. I'd say the key to this one is knowing what your players are really hungry for. And it's the type of hunger that is not for level 1 characters. You don't want to feed that hunger instantly. A lot of the fun is in the hunger. So you want to cultivate that hunger for a little bit longer until they get to a point where it actually makes sense for them to have that level of power. Identify your player's hunger, put it out there in front of them at a distance, let them chase it, and once they get there, create a really big moment. How cool are items for your storytelling? And speaking of which, that brings me to tip number 5, which is use items to punctuate every level of storytelling. My advice for this one is ask yourself, what can my campaign use more of? Maybe it needs more humor. Okay, sprinkle in magic items that don't have a strong mechanical benefit but allow really hilarious moments. Wild magic items that do something silly, an item that makes them think they can talk to plants, but there's actually no communication happening, but they're convinced there is. Now there's more humor in your game. Need more drama? Well, sprinkle in magic items that have really crazy negative effects, really powerful items, but maybe they don't allow you to succeed on death saves. Now you're so much more likely to die. You're walking this razor's edge. Instantly more drama. Want some more tension in your campaign? We'll have a magic item that both the party is chasing as well as the villain. Now they have cross purposes. They're going to face each other again and again and again because of that magic item. There you go, more tension. Seriously, the sky is the limit here. You can even say, what do I want less of in my campaign? I'm kind of sick of traveling, so now I want an item that just lets them teleport to any city they've been to. Bam, done. You can use magic items to really sculpt the flavor and the feel of your game. And I really do think there is an infinite amount of potential here. So really ask yourself, what can my campaign use more and how can I use items to get there? Hopefully these 5 tips have broadened your mind relative to items and hopefully given you some inspiration of how you can use them to make your game better. I mentioned Ancestral Forge several times throughout this video. It's an awesome resource for lineage specific flavor items. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. We're gonna have a link and a discount code in the description down below. I wanna give a shout out to one of our patrons, Fledgling. Fledgling is a master character builder and an awesome guy to talk to. If you guys see him around, seriously try and get a conversation with him. I really appreciate you, brother. And if you're wanting to show support to the channel as well as get some awesome benefits, consider becoming a patron yourself. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.